No left-wing agitator is more influential and extreme than Twitch streamer Hasan Piker.
If you are a political commentator and you have a take on Hasan Piker, do me a favor and just shut the up.
No, your request has been received, considered, and denied. We've got to talk about the Democratic Party's Hasan Piker problem. Now, if you're a regular viewer of my content, you know who Hasan is. But if you're new here, he's a far-left streamer and YouTuber, and he's a very influential voice. I'm not going to downplay it and pretend like he's not quite relevant. Like, he has a significant following, and he's kind of a cultural force as well, especially among younger people. But he has typically been actually so far left that he's quite antagonistic towards the Democratic Party. Like, he may have voted for Kamala, but he made public statements suggesting that they were basically the same. And it's not like he was a supporter of Kamala Harris. And he's even actually suggested that if it was Gavin Newsom versus J.D. Vance in 2028, he would vote third party. And I'm like, it's just strange, because I understand there are some issues where Gavin Newsom is a little like not diehard leftist, but he's like pretty progressive. And even he's not extreme enough for Hasan. So this is a radical figure. This is somebody who said many unhinged things, but now you have Democratic candidates campaigning with him. Here's the headline from News Nation. Hasan Piker controversy heats up Michigan Senate primary for Democrats. Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El Sayed's plans to rally in the state this week with controversial live streamer Hasan Piker are roiling the Democratic primary, with other candidates blasting the decision to invite him on the campaign trail. El Sayed, the former Wayne County health director backed by progressive Senator Bernie Sanders, was the runner-up to Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in the 2018 Democratic gubernatorial primary. He's earned significant progressive backing, but his decision to invite Piker to rally with him on Tuesday at the University of Michigan and Michigan State University has raised the hackles of his Democratic rivals, while upping concerns for his party that if he wins the primary, he could make it easier for Republicans to take back the seat. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be out here betting on Republicans winning a Michigan Senate seat in the midterms, but putting up this radical guy who's bringing up Hasan Piker on stage with him to campaign, I mean, I can tell you, I'm friends with a lot of Republican operatives or conservative media types, and they would love that. That would be Christmas coming early for them, because Hasan is so toxic and is so radical. And just in case you've forgotten what a delightful fellow this man is, here's a little compilation I made of some of his sweetest moments. Let's watch.
Isn't that how he lost his dumb eye? Because he got his eye hole? America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying
poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those and murder those in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Okay? You wouldn't make Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, Rick Scott, you wouldn't make him the current, what is his current office? What is he?
My favorite part of that clip, where he repeatedly insists a Republican should be killed, Rick Scott, is that he feels so strongly that this man should be murdered, yet doesn't actually know what office he currently holds and has to look it up. Because clearly you are putting a lot of thought into who deserves killing, in your view. It's just so unhinged. Rick Scott is a senator from Florida, by the way. He used to be governor of Florida, and he's involved with controversies with Medicare fraud, sure, but like, it's psychotic in this current moment of political violence and murders and assassination attempts to be saying that any politician deserves to be killed. You are inciting violence, at least implicitly and indirectly, and it's just a totally reckless and unhinged way to use your platform. In the same way, like, this guy's past statements are despicable, and these are just a few. And some people will say, like, oh, they're out of context. But, like, actually, when you look up at the context, they're not. They accurately represent the sentiment he was expressing at the time. They're clipped out of context in that people just pull short snippets. But when something's actually out of context, what that means is that if you view it in the full context, it has a different fundamental meaning than if you just view the short snippet. So like if I make a statement and I'm like, I don't believe this, but for the purposes of a thought experiment, and then I say a controversial thing, what would you then believe? And then this, But actually, I don't believe that. I'm just curious about this. And then you just pulled out the controversial statement, the 10 seconds, and then showed that. Well, viewing it in context, that would be an out of context statement, because in context, I don't believe that thing. Out of context, it makes it seem like I do. But in context, there's a little bit more explanation for his hot takes as to why he believes America deserves 9/11, as to why he thinks Rick Scott should be killed. But the statements are fundamentally accurately representative of his sentiment. And it would seem to me that in a sane world, you would never, as a candidate for any office in any party, want to bring up and campaign with the guy who just says and still believes that America deserved 9/11. Like, something has gone seriously wrong if you are wrapping arms with the America deserved 9/11 guy. That's not a normal thing to do, a normal party. Now, I want to draw a distinction here, because I think to have such a violent, radical person be increasingly embraced by the left flank of the Democratic Party is really concerning to me and disturbing. But I do want to draw a little bit of a distinction between like these candidates or even Zohran Mamdani, who's like done cutesy, like content with Hasan and kind of really embraced him. I think at that point you are implicitly associating yourself with his beliefs. I make a difference, though. I draw a distinction between that and simply talking to somebody with a significant platform. So, like, for example, the California congressman who is a progressive, but is also somebody who tries to be sensible and talk to different people. And I think I at least have respect for and could have a civil conversation with Ro Khanna. Well, he was pressed by NBC's Kristen Welker about his appearances on Hasan Piker's live stream. Here's that exchange. Let's watch.
I do want to ask you, here we are in the midst of the midterms. You're someone who's been quite outspoken. You have made several appearances on a show hosted by socialist commentator Hasan Piker. Some of your fellow Democrats, though, have raised alarms about his views. Here are two members of a left-leaning think tank. This is how they put it. They wrote, quote, "No left-wing agitator is more influential and extreme than Twitch streamer Hasan Piker. He's referred to ultra-Orthodox Jews as inbred, employed anti-Semitic dog whistles, bloodthirsty, violent pig dog against an anti-Hamas viewer of his stream, compared liberal Zionists to liberal Nazis, and said Hamas is 1,000 times better than the Israeli state." Now, Hasan Piker says some of his comments have been taken out of context, but he largely stands by them. Do you have any regrets about appearing on his show?
So I actually want to defend Ro Khanna here, because whether you like it or not, and I wish that it were not the case, I certainly wish it weren't the case, Hasan Piker has a large audience. There are millions of people that regularly tune into his clips and streams and YouTube videos. And somebody like Ro Khanna has gone on all sorts of right-wing networks and podcasts and interviews, and he doesn't agree with the hosts. He's there to speak to the audience. And I think simply as applied to going on Hasan Piker's stream, it is not an endorsement of his views. And I don't want to engage in this kind of don't platform or don't talk to dangerous people or bad people with bad ideas. That's a very woke sentiment that doesn't work. It just pushes the conversations underground. It makes these people more enticing and forbidden fruit. And it's more important to reach viewers where they're at. Simply going on a network doesn't mean that you agree with the views of the hosts or that you are affirmatively embracing them. So I would actually defend Ro Khanna here, and I say there's nothing wrong with going on his stream. But when you are campaigning or being buddy-buddy with somebody who is such a radical extremist, that's a different story. Heck, if I was a Republican politician, I'd consider going on Hasan Piker's stream, and I'd call him out to his face. And I try to reach the millions of confused young people that listen to him. But so I don't want to engage in like the pouncing on Democrats who simply go on his stream. I think we should be heavily critical of Democrats who embrace him or share his views or act like he's a normal figure, but we don't want to fall into the same like no platforming trap. I find that to be very lame and very counterproductive. But really, I mean, some left-wing people are trying to gaslight us and insist that it's crazy that we are even upset by this, by the normalization or embrace of somebody in Democratic politics who's so violent and unhinged and extreme, and they do it just through like pure deflection and whataboutism. So here's the progressive commentator Kyle Kulinski, also known as Secular Talk online, I believe. Here is his quasi-defense of Hasan Piker's normalization and embrace. Let's watch.
I am completely and utterly done with Hasan derangement syndrome. Let me just say, as clear as I possibly can, if you are a political commentator and you have a take on Hasan Piker, do me a favor and just shut the up.
No. I hear you. Your request has been received, considered, and denied.
I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. This hopefully will be the last time I have to address this.
Oh my God.
But I am so sick. We're living in a world where Donald Trump is waging an illegal and offensive war against Iran. The outline of World War III is there for sure. And we're supposed to have a conversation about Hasan Piker?
I love the arrogance of this guy. I hope this will be the last time I have to address this. As if you're like the definitive voice on what other political commentators are allowed to talk about. I mean, Kyle Kulinski is a popular guy. He's an influential left-wing voice, but no one declared you God, king of the political discourse, and you don't get to decide that a conversation is illegitimate. And this is just like ridiculous. You can't talk about literally anything else because a war is happening. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but it is totally valid and normal for people to dislike and be concerned about the fact that somebody who openly promotes political violence and extremism and designated terror groups is becoming a mainstream figure on the left flank of the Democratic Party. And if what you really are concerned about is the Trump administration and is the war with Iran and is reclaiming power from MAGA, who you think you have gone totally off the deep end, and listen, I probably agree with some of the criticisms, then it's more important than ever to police your own side, get your in order, and offer a normal, reasonable alternative to people. I'm telling you right now, a Hasan Piker esque Democratic Party is palatable to none or almost none of the independent and swing voters that you need to appeal to retake power from MAGA. And yet, you're acting like it's illegitimate to be upset about this unhinged person being embraced by Democrats. It's not. And the fact that there's a war going on doesn't mean you're not literally allowed to talk about anything else. And that's just ridiculous. It's whataboutism. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can discuss the war. We can have criticisms of the war and also think that the guy who calls for Republicans to be murdered is probably not an acceptable or normal figure for Democrats to link arms with. And in fact, it's like more important than ever that Democrats find a way back to being semi-normal so that we can actually have a check and a balance of their influence. But instead we have like this. I'm a leftist and I swear a lot and I'm angry, and so you just listen to me and no one cares and no standards of decency matter. Actually, no, it's like still you should police your own side and have some decency. The truth is he just likes Hasan Piker. Like he just agrees with all the crazy statements. That's the truth. It's like he's trying to deflect here, but he actually just thinks it's all fine. And that's the fundamental disconnect. And that's why people like me are not going to stop talking about Hasan. We're simply not.
Piker, did you guys see that in 2019 he said this thing which was really politically incorrect and rude? I don't give a if he was having sex with your grandma in 2019 or 2012. I don't give a why are we having this conversation? Why are we talking about him?
That is crazy. I mean, I will give Kyle credit. He's absolutely unhinged and insane, but he is kind of funny. Now, the flip side here, though, is that it is so incredibly dishonest to pretend that the things Hasan says that people are mad about are just politically incorrect statements. No, ma'am. Saying Republican senators should be killed is not a politically incorrect statement. And they're also like he's acting like we're digging up old tweets from 15 years ago about Hasan Piker. This is stuff he said very recently, that Republican Senator Rick Scott should be killed. I think that was like last year. I think it was like 2025. Regardless, it wasn't ancient history. And the America Deserved 9/11 clip is old, yes. However, he's like doubled down on it repeatedly and still believes that. So it's like, it is so intellectually dishonest to dismiss the concern about him. Are people just mad he's politically incorrect? No, we're not talking about like offensive statements or edgy language. We're talking about like literal support for designated terror groups. Talking about Hezbollah is his, yeah, they're technically terrorists, but I actually think they're like cool. Like, no, we like them. Or talking about like simping for Luigi Mangione and just vigilante murder in the streets and all this stuff. No, actually, this is not politically incorrect. It's dangerous, violent radicalism that threatens to tear apart the fabric of our country if allowed to spread. And if your whole thing is that you want to push back on and stop what they see as the rise of fascist extremism on the opposite end, well, like, that's all the more reason to not fail to police extremism from your own side, because then you're no better than the people you're criticizing, and it compromises your ability. That's the other thing that makes no sense. It's not like, well, Hasan is a huge asset to Democrats, so they should really look over some of his unhinged statements. He literally actively foments people not to vote for Democrats. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me why they would defend him when he basically encouraged people to sit out in 2024 and has mused about how he might vote third party. He's not even some hardcore supporter of your party who promotes you, and then it's worth the negative association. It's like a lose-lose. But some of these people just like low-key are as radical as him, probably at heart, and maybe just pretend not to be. And so they can't quit him. And some of them also just find him hot, if we're being honest, especially the women and the gays who support him. It's just a thirst thing, I think. But what's Kyle's excuse? Pretty sure he's a straight man. What's your excuse, sir? I find it to be ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. But that's just my take on the latest Hasan Piker drama.